Today I'm talking to J Kuper. He is a top real estate agent in the country, and he is a broker owner of the offices in San Antonio and Texas, Kuper Sotheby's offices. We are talking today about success strategies, about how real estate is not just taking a client, not just winning business and getting them an MLS and moving to the next one, but really about customer service, delivery, creating content to sell properties, and really creating that value for our clients. Thanks for listening to the Jere Metcalf Podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. This podcast is to share knowledge for realtors and raise awareness for Give Back Homes, where real estate professionals work together for social good. Jet Centers Aviation, Bentley Atlanta, Legends Global, thank you for your sponsorship. All right, everybody, this is the Jere Metcalf Podcast. Today we have J Kuper. So excited to have him here. He is broker owner of the Kuper Sotheby's offices in Austin and San Antonio. He's recently gone from 3 offices to 10, producing $400 million to $1.58 billion, and probably even more now. So let us know, Jay. Fill in the blanks for us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business and what you do.
Yeah, I'm J Kuper, and really I run this third generation real estate brokerage in Texas. Feel really fortunate to do that. Love it. And we've grown a lot, mostly because of the Sotheby's brand and good marketing, I think, but also because of really great people. So every day I get to wake up, work with great folks, do a lot of great real estate marketing, and I love what I get to do.
Awesome. Okay, you're gonna have to edit this, Isaac. Your face is like chopped off. Maybe yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, because you're gonna see that and you're gonna be like, why didn't somebody say something? Much better.
I have something in my nose too.
No, your nose looks awesome. Everything's perfect now. Because before it was just like, that's just going to be, and we're going to think you have a double chin. And
which I do. I mean, I might.
No, you don't. Your chin's good, but you're left to assume that the way it was chopped off before. See, this is all the feminine perspective that you get, right?
I appreciate it. I don't want to be led astray.
I got me, Isaac, and then we've got the new guy here.
Why didn't Isaac and the new guy help me out?
Isaac, remind me, because I've only met the new guy twice. Luis is here. So they're not going to pick up on this. And Whitney's over there in the room, like making her calls, doing the real work. So you got me, the only one who can point this stuff out.
Thanks for keeping me straight. I just don't want to.
You're so welcome. You're going to have to just move me to Austin. And are you in Austin, or where are you?
Today I'm in San Antonio.
Yeah, you're just going to have to get me over there and straighten stuff out.
I agree.
I mean, you only have 10 offices and you're only doing $1.58 billion. You need help, clearly.
I need help big time. I mean, it's bad news bears. Just come on.
We need to not edit this out. This is awesome.
Leave it on. People need to know the real life.
They need to know what's really going on in the show. We're not going to edit that out. Forget it, Isaac. Okay. So back to you. You're awesome. You've gone from 400 to 1.58. Start us from the beginning, though. Where did this all start? I'm sure you started out as a real estate agent. Why did you become an agent? What were you thinking? And take us down that path of how you got where you are now.
Okay, so this is where it gets super fun. So no, I was never a real estate agent. And
it gets really fun then.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I said I'd never do in my life is be in real estate. I always said I'd never do it. It's like the only thing. As a matter of fact,
me too, actually. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I thought I'd end up living in Atlanta, Georgia before I lived in Texas for the rest of my life. And that's a fact. So I thought I'd be there forever. I thought I'd go live someplace like Atlanta. Then instead, as it would happen, I just ended up doing a few things around the office, and one thing led to another. And I really started managing well before I started selling. Like, I had a management career in this before I started selling anything at all. But I think it kind of gave me a good advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I started out with risk management, like contract issues when people get grumpy. But you learn the business really well from that angle when you have to deal with all the problems, especially in a big office. So I did that all the time.
Well, you did all that and you still got in the business?
And I still got in the business.
And you still did it? So, yeah. Well, and most people also, most people come into the business from the opposite perspective. It's all stars. All of your friends are going to hire you and sell your house and everybody's going to be happy. You came in from the completely opposite perspective.
Yeah. But I think that's my win because I saw where everybody, what's the right way to say, like does it wrong. Like when people were angry, like the things people get angry about, our clients could get angry about, 95% of the time are not major issues. Is it communication, not delivering on what you promise, basic things like that. And so I got to see that and how big of a snowball effect that could have. But on the flip side, like if you do it right, clients love you. It's above and beyond service. You get repeat business. And so I think coming in that way was pretty good. But yeah, I said I'd never do it, and now I do it every day and love it.
Wow. So one of the first questions I like to ask people is, but you already had you had all these ahas. You saw all the worst. So I'm assuming like maybe you never had an aha coming into this business, because people have so many, but what have been your ahas coming into this as you went from seeing it from the, the back end and management end and all the stuff that goes wrong, then you decide to become an agent, you get in this, you already had a good perspective of what to do and what went wrong. So what more did you learn coming in from such a knowledgeable place?
So I still think some of my biggest ahas have been maybe what I just started out saying, not necessarily to repeat, but that very frequently we don't communicate with clients enough and what an issue that can cause. So you can't over communicate to a client in this business. That's my first probably aha from my perspective. And then I'm a big fan of real estate marketing. And so I realize how, this is not to pick on our colleagues or in general, but like as an industry, we don't do much a lot, or some don't, to promote a property the way that it should.
Right.
And I think it's easy to come into a listing, for example, and say, okay, I won this listing and I'm going to put this baby in the MLS.
Put my name on it.
I'm going to put my name on it, get that sign out, and I'm going to go do a bunch of other stuff, and hopefully it sells.
Well,
and yeah.
But I think about especially getting into the business when you start and you're going into all these training courses. And one of the things that rings is the real estate business is a lead generation business. And I think nothing could be further from the truth, because the leads are everywhere. It's not about generating the leads. It's about the reason why only 5% of agents could even make it in this business for more than 2 years is because that's about how many can figure out how to deliver value. So going into this, tell us about, I think you've talked about selling strategies. You really have a lot of focus on that in your business with your agents. And how many agents do you or how many agents? You're the owner. I guess you don't manage them because you're selling and an owner. But how many agents are in your 10 offices?
340.
Wow. So that's a lot of responsibility.
It's a lot.
So that gives you, and it gives you a lot of perspective of these different agents. But what on these selling strategies? What are some of the biggest things that you? Actually, before I say that, to our audience, let's define selling strategies. What you mean by that?
Okay, so let me define it by just kind of describing the whole process. So I just believe, number one, that every listing that you take deserves a selling strategy. It deserves a marketing strategy. Okay. And what a marketing strategy or sales strategy is not, is putting it in the MLS. That is not a marketing and sales strategy. So to really come up with a solid sales strategy, I think it requires a couple things. What's your target audience? Like, who are you trying to sell this to?
Who's your buyer?
Yeah, who's your buyer? But more than just the buyer, Jerry, I think like which brokers in your market represent the buyers too, right? That are going to buy this, because we all know that we all probably sell across, neighborhoods and price points and things like that. But everybody knows that the agents or brokers that are selling really well in a certain price point. So it's the buyers, who the buyers are, who the brokers and agents are that sell in that price point. And then, of course, like the desires, needs, wants of your seller. You need to combine all those to create your selling strategy. And one of my favorite things to do, and I believe in this wholeheartedly, and I think more people should use it, but I think we should be pricing properties in a way that doesn't just drive one buyer, it should drive two buyers. And because I like creating a strategy that essentially makes it so people have to compete.
Exactly.
And I mean, I think everybody can recognize that if you've got two buyers vying for a property, people are willing to pay what somebody else is willing to pay, right? So,
Barbara Corcoran, her famous quote, everybody wants what everybody wants and nobody wants what nobody wants. If you're the only offer as a buyer, you're kind of worried about what the circumstance is going to be when you buy it. Am I the only one, or why hasn't it sold? You can generate
right.
2 buyers. Sometimes you just want to make sure the other guy doesn't get it. I've had that
That's
happen
right.
often. Let me just pay you what I need to pay you to make sure that guy, just like in an auction, let me pay you what I need to pay you so that guy doesn't, or in a live auction, but so that guy doesn't get it.
That's right.
So it's the perfect strategy. So how do you walk? Because a lot of us as real estate agents would say, well, that comes to me as we'll just price it low, but how do you really get your client to, what do you mean by that? And how do you communicate to your client or educate your client to get them to understand that?
So a couple things we show our clients is the decline in web traffic over time. So you show most clients that after 30 days, people really aren't looking at your listing anymore. Mm-hmm. So you say, look, we've got to market it properly. We've got to get the best photos, the best video, all that. We got to come out with a big bang. Let's not use phone photos to launch this listing today. Let's take some time and do it right. Mm-hmm. But also let's price it in a way that gets everybody who's looking at it in these first couple of weeks to where they feel compelled to make an offer. Mm-hmm. Like I like to say it as, we want to make buyers think I'm foolish for not moving forward with making an offer on this house because it's priced so well and it looks so good.
Well, it's that worry price. They're worried they're not going to get it. But, people list it. Finish what you were saying because I have something to add that, but I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Well, just that concept that if we can get people when they're most excited to look, which is the first couple of weeks, we can get them to look. Mm-hmm. And then not only can we get them to look, but we can make them feel, again, foolish and or compelled to make an offer. Mm-hmm. Then we can drive that one, not just one person, but 2, maybe 3 people. And it has major positive impact on not just like the price we get, but also like the duration of the contract. Mm-hmm. In Texas, we have an option period like I think you do. In Georgia,
we do.
In that option period, I see.
We don't call it that, but that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, just the buyer can get out. This unrestricted right to terminate.
Exactly.
And I see the worst things in this business happen, Jerry, in that period because people in their mind, our sellers are essentially reserved now to go on to their next thing, right? Like we've got it under contract, so we're going to get this sold and we're going to use the money from the sale to do X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. And then what happens, like if you only have one buyer, they're like, hey, we inspected it and we want to reduce $20,000 off this sales price. Well, you're kind of stuck then, if you're the seller, your dreams and hopes are all down the river with your new endeavor. Exactly. And I've seen people give a lot of money there versus you can say, hey, I know you want $20,000, but I've got 2 people that are dying to buy this today. I think people are less likely to negotiate with you during that option period or your termination period. If that buyer knows that there's more people on the line.
And if you get a backup contract, for example, I recently had a transaction where we actually came in priced a little high, but we reduced the price. We did great marketing, put it out there, we had, like you said, we implement a strategy to not just put it in MLS, but we have a strategy that puts it in front of the right buyers first and foremost, even puts it in front of the right buyers before, all of the stuff that we'll go into more with you. But my point is, we had a contract, and then we had a backup. And that backup was in place. We had no financing contingency, which is very rare in Atlanta, Georgia. It's pretty much in like a lot of other markets. You don't buy a house without a financing contingency. That's almost just like the words of wisdom in Atlanta. No financing contingency. Due diligence is typically, which is our option period, is typically 10 to 14 days. It was 7. It was like there was no negotiating, no nothing. Now, had we not had a backup, that would have never happened. We would have had a 14-day. We would have had our 28-day financing contingency, maybe 10 to 14-day due diligence. We would have negotiated, and in the meanwhile, our backup's asking us every day, when is our contract going to fall through?
Exactly.
So, it's just to your point of exactly what you said. So walk us a little bit through when you go into on that selling strategy, I'm really focusing on, and tell me if you want to take this in a different direction, but on your selling strategy, I think the biggest thing is really getting your seller to understand, because it's difficult to implement a selling strategy without the seller on board with us. So when you go into your listing appointment, how do you establish that credibility? Because if you come in with a selling strategy and you don't have credibility yet, it's going to be kind of like, yeah, great, thanks. Now, you as a broker owner of 10 offices, you got a lot of credibility walking through the door. But you have a lot of agents, I'm sure, that don't have the same level of experience as you do. What do you tell them, and how do you walk them through building that credibility so that we can establish who we are, credibility? A lot of that comes with Sotheby's brand, lucky for me and you, and then communicating that selling strategy.
Okay, so this will be super simple, but I think most business can be.
Yes.
But if you don't have 10 offices or you haven't been selling a long time with big volume like you, come in with something written down. I'm always amazed when we go up to compete against somebody that has no plan, no marketing schedule written down whatsoever. They're just like, hey, it's me and I'm really good and I promise to work really hard for you. Like, why not have it written down? Like, this is what I'm going to do in the first week, the first weeks, the first month, the first 60 days. And that can include, it doesn't even have to be expensive things, but I'm going to have an open house on this day. I'm going to show it to a private broker tour on this day. I'm going to advertise it in the business journal on that day.
Exactly.
Having this schedule gives you credibility, because if you've written it down, even better if it's well formatted, the client knows that you're spending more time than probably most of the people walking through the door to present to them. I mean, that's a fact. The majority of agents don't spend time to do that.
You're so right.
Have no intention of spending time or money on the listing. So if you can show that in a written form, hey, this is what I'm committed to, and this is how I'm going to communicate with you, that lends itself credibility, or that gives you credibility that others don't have, probably because they've never even mentioned any of it or provided any backup.
Exactly. Well, and then when you can, down the road, if you have the right selling strategy and the right pricing, ideally the house sells, but say it doesn't, they don't always sell immediately, you've got a level of credibility to say, look, guys, I did this. These are the things I did. The property hasn't sold, so when you've done everything you can do, you've got a seller that's on your side and is going to work with you. Not, like you said, so often the angry clients is just because they haven't been communicated with. They just haven't heard what you had to say. So they walked. Do you have any good examples of us for selling strategies that you've implemented, or kind of stories where the selling strategy wasn't implemented in the beginning and you or an agent that you work with came and stepped in and implemented one, and a success story out of that to help us get an example of what we can do for our clients?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's almost countless on the examples where I find this to be true. That's why I think I just am repetitive to where I annoy myself.
Right.
If I am. But we do have this all the time. And actually, I laid out this selling strategy in the same way we're talking about now to our office. Mm-hmm. It's been 4 weeks ago, let's say. And essentially using the idea of taking the selling strategy to the client. Mm-hmm. I could even pull up my phone with a number of text messages. And there's one actually that I got yesterday from one of our agents in Austin, where in 1 week she got a $100,000 price reduction and an $80,000 price reduction, 2 different properties. And one's already under contract. Essentially, the pricing wasn't part of the overall strategy, right? Like, the client loved the idea that we would market for them heavily, that we would use Sotheby's, but the pricing wasn't part of the strategy. Mm-hmm. So we included that, and then we tend to get results right away. At the end of the day, the unfortunate part is it's always a pricing issue one way or another. If you're doing what you're supposed to from a marketing, advertising, PR standpoint, then it just comes down to price.
Exactly.
So, in these examples, or in the example with this one agent in Austin, she was able to say, look, to your point from before, Jerry, like, she was able to say, here's what I've done, and showed, all the past track record, but essentially was able to articulate, hey, pricing has to be part of our strategy too, to get this done right. And so this was one that was on the market past the danger zone to me, which is 90 days. I think it was on 100 days, and she was able to get these price changes done. And of course, one of them under contract. So it does have a positive effect all the time. And then, I'm even trying to think of some of the ones. So if I'm not selling, which I don't really compete with agents on some of the things I do, I sell these random things, but I love to go on listing presentations with folks in our office, with brokers in our office. And I'm telling you, just bringing the overall sales strategy to the table and having the written plan down, it changes the game. We won a great one in Austin that I think we had 10 competitors going up against us on, and we won that. Priced less than everybody else because they believed in our approach. Like, okay, you guys are the only ones that haven't tried to tell us exactly what we want to hear.
Exactly.
We believe in your track record, and we trust in what you're doing because of
you're not. Right. You're not hiring someone for giving, well, our sellers shouldn't be. And I think if we properly educate them in our listing appointments or whatever we want to call them, Jack Cotton has a great name for them, and I can't remember what it was because it's a listing. Maybe he calls it a listing consultation.
Yeah, the consultation.
So, but when you go in, if you can establish that credibility first and foremost, suddenly, I mean, I had an appointment recently. It's funny, I didn't know. Well, often I know my clients before I meet them, and it's just like, yeah, okay, let's do it, let's sign it, and that can often be a bad thing because I went in and I'm like, well, they love me, but they don't really know what I'm up to. They just know what they've heard about me. So I went in an appointment recently and I really took the time to communicate, like you said, and show them the selling strategy. And they didn't, they don't even want the price. They didn't understand. And that's my next question for you, that's not the case for every seller, but in this situation, that was the case when I walked in the room. And before I left the room, it was like, that wasn't even up for discussion because they understood that pricing a house is not walking in somewhere and saying how you feel about it and being done. It's a lot, especially the higher the price point, the more, strategy and the more sensitive the process is to make sure you get that strategy right, to price it right, to get it sold. To you, what do you find when you go? Because often we do have, and everybody's got their strategy, even on that listing appointment and pricing the house, because so much of it does come down to that, but we don't want to be hired on that. Do you have an approach for that? Do you do it the second time? Do you do it the first time? Do you see how it goes? Or what's your...
Yeah, I definitely think it's every situation's different. Mm-hmm. And this is one where I think even from our own team, we've wanted to create like a cut and dry, this is exactly how it goes. And unfortunately, that is just not how it works. Everyone is so different.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that's one where a key that we work around here too is just practice. Like it's funny because athletes practice, they have coaches, they do all these things to win, and rarely we like practice in this business. So we try to actively practice what we're going to do. And whether it's like you're role playing with somebody in the office, like, okay, I'm going to go in on this one. I know the property pretty well, but this is what I'm going to have to try to figure out on pricing. Just to make sure that you're confident in how your approach is going to be. Mm-hmm. But I used to think that the only way we would give a price is on the second visit. Mm-hmm. We're going to come on the first visit. We're not going to bring CMAs and waste your time because your property is unique. And for the most part, that's my default. I don't want to try to go in there and say, I'm going to compete with everybody on some price per foot deal because that's not the way the world really works.
Exactly.
But there have been times where we go in and give a high level price opinion. And we've had clients on the first run only want to live and die by that price opinion and or what we're going to be able to get for their house. And we've had amicable, I guess we're not breaking up because we never got together, but hey, we're not the right fit for each other because you want a price that I know I can't achieve, even if I analyze this for a month, the market bear that. So I think one of the best things you can do is be confident in whatever approach you're going to give and own whatever price you're going to present to the client, list price that is, because if you're able to be swayed by your own client on what the price should be, you're kind of in the wrong business. Like we've got to own that, hey, this is my experience day in and day out. Mm-hmm. And so to answer your question, I think it's not necessarily that we're always coming back for the second meeting, even though that's my approach. But if you're going to do it in the first meeting, make sure you've got all the right data to tell you what's going on and or experience. Like, hey, they're just not trading for this in your neighborhood.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'll come in and bring the data just to show them the data, and then we'll visit price later. I have made the horrible mistake of presenting data over an email. It was just data.
Yeah.
Doesn't go well.
That'll get you. It'll bite
Never
you.
do. Just don't send anything. You just got to give it to them in person. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got to give it to them in person. And I think citing real world examples is super important. Like you might not know every data point on there, like what 123 Main Street sold for last month or whatever, but I'm always trying to tie myself in personally to a transaction that's on there and say hey, I was in this house 3 weeks ago. It sold for this record price, but it had this, and this.
Exactly.
Your property's different. And anybody with any level of experience can do that. I think that's the crazy thing is sometimes there's intimidation, like, well, only the top agents can do these sorts of things. And I know top agents that hold properties open. I know how easy it is to preview, at least in Texas.
Exactly.
You want to go look at any property, you can pretty much get in as an agent, like going in, knowing what properties really look like in person and or the circumstances in which something sold is
huge.
Gold.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Well, I had in our office, we took the top agents in our office. I wish it was my brilliant idea, but it wasn't. But it was Rhonda Heron's idea in our office, and she got us together, and we all went through and said, "What's your unique? What's a unique marketing or what's a unique value that you can offer your clients?" And Josh Reeves, he's like, your unique value is your knowledge of the market. And I'm like, that's so simple. Like it's kind of like coming to a listing appointment and actually writing out your strategy and writing out or having in print to be able to show them this is what I'm going to do for you. It's just actually knowing your market is kind of can kind of unfortunately be a unique value. And I don't think it's that we're incompetent as real estate agents. Right. I think it's that we don't know. It's that everybody's trying to sell everything instead of honing in on a market and honing in on something that you can learn and know, or God forbid, at least go on Caravan the week before your listing appointment. At least do that, right? So you can speak to it. And I've seen some of the houses in there. So,
this will be like slight sidetrack, but can I give you one slight sidetrack for another aha moment?
Please do, yeah.
So I think this is true with our profession. I know most of your podcast followers are real estate professionals, right? Well,
most of them, but a lot of them aren't. Yeah.
Okay, so for those that aren't, I think this is actually applicable to almost anything.
Exactly.
So one of the things that when you're in real estate and you're meeting new people, right? Like you introduce yourself. I'm Jere Metcalf. So what do you do, Jere? You say, well, I'm in real estate and I'm a real estate professional. People say, well, what? Like,
or then they like run away. Oh my God, there's another one.
No way.
There's another real estate agent that makes like 103. I know now. That's what they're thinking.
That's probably true.
Right.
Everybody needs 10. Okay.
Which is kind of to your point. Yeah.
But part of what I find is people ask me all the time, if I say that, they'll say, okay, Jay, how's the market then? Like, what's going on in the market? I mean, do you ever get the question, how's the real estate?
Yes.
You do, right?
Yes.
And what do most people answer if you're in real estate?
Oh, like it's great. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a nightmare, Jerry. People should not be answering the real estate market's great, even if the market's great. Like what an aha moment for me is at the top of every month, you take some market statistics from the board of realtors or from your own database or whatever.
MLS,
or MLS, and that's what you say. So like in Buckhead, market's up 25% this month, year over year, or days on market's decreased. We're seeing a lot of this, that, or the other.
Show some competence while you have a chance, while somebody's actually looking for it.
Yeah, because nobody else answers that way. They said everybody's expectation of a real estate agent or broker is for them to answer that the market's good. It doesn't matter what it is. Well, that's one of the stereotypes we have.
And we can help break it that way, at least for ourselves. And again, that's like standing out over the competition. Or, that's huge, is just being able to do that and being able to speak. But every time, it goes back to every time we speak to someone, I don't think they know it, but we need to know it. We're being interviewed. Everyone we speak to. And people, even when you go on a listing appointment, 99.9% of the time, they already know who they've hired. They're just making sure. Yeah. Just go in there and don't screw it up.
Yeah.
Just go in there and don't talk yourself out of the sale.
Don't ruin it.
Sometimes less is more, right?
That's right.
Or go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't know why we don't do that more, but if that's something you make part of your routine every month and you change up your script every month.
That's huge, because I'm embarrassed to admit, I know stats. I do stats. I actually have a stats presentation for real estate agents in Atlanta because I'm crazy and I just think it's fun. And I know so many stats, and I'm not even doing that. I mean, that's so easy. Or little fun things like, did you know, by the way, or this is for Atlanta stats, that the number one home buyer used to be the first time home buyer at 40% of the market. And now the number one home buyer is the empty nester, the baby boomer. They're in 40% of the market because they're buying second homes. And some of those guys are registering as the biggest home buyers because they're buying in Atlanta anyway. A lot of these guys are buying homes for their millennials. So the millennials are also stepping into these $1 million homes. There goes my answer. If nothing else, that's just an interesting fact I could share with people. And I tell people the market's great. I'm embarrassed that I have to admit that. So thank you. I mean, seriously.
There you go. Lives changed by the podcast.
So tell us, I'm going to put you on the spot. Tell us, how's the market? Should I ask you about the market in Austin or San Antonio or both?
Well, that's my burden to bear. I've got to know it all. And then really we have we have like sub-markets too all around there. So I've got to have a few answers. But yeah, I can answer it all for you if you need me to.
Give us one, or give us an example of an agent in your office that focuses on a specific market and what they should say, just to give us like a story example of and help us learn.
So let's take downtown Austin, Texas. Okay, really vibrant market. We've got 4 new towers going up, condo towers. Like for Texas, condos are not huge like they are in other markets. So my stat for the month really is that a record sale has happened in Austin at $1,250 a foot in the Austonian, which is a deal.
That's
so
huge.
People like, hey, what's going on in Austin? I said, well, we've got like record-setting sale. This is downtown Austin, and people will actually want to know more. Like, okay, well, where's that buyer from? Like, where are people coming from? And then you can talk about some more generic stuff. And I always
where are they coming from at $1,200 a foot in Austin?
Yeah, we've got loads of people from California still. Okay. So I think that buyer was from Los Angeles, but we have Los Angeles, San Diego, really up and down West Coast. People are moving and or having second homes in Austin, which is good because we've got so much entertainment business there that it's just ramped up to crazy levels. But also, like, there's so much industry. Like, we're getting a bunch of tech in Austin, and I think a lot of people are seeing like secondary campuses in their part of the world, but we are getting our fair share of those in like the Austin area. It's actually bleeding into San Antonio a bit because the pressure's so big to find a place in Austin, Texas, that it's becoming unaffordable for even tech industry workforce to be able to afford to live in Austin. So it's really affecting our whole region. But like, that's a big benchmark for us, is to kind of get, when you're consistently over $1,000 a foot for a condo project in downtown, it's a big deal for us.
We haven't hit 1,000 square foot in Atlanta. I mean, not everybody's not listening. Let's get stats on Austin and Texas, but it is interesting because we've got, it's called Opus, and the penthouses will be 1,000 a square foot, but nobody believes it's I've got, unlike silver lining, no, they're going to do it. It's going to happen, but nobody else believes it. But I believe it, and that's only for 1,000 a square foot, and that's just the penthouses. So that's just, for me, that's putting it into perspective on what kind of sales prices you're talking about in Austin. So
you can do an Opus, get it.
Yes, exactly. Except, well, I was going to say I can't. Never mind. You have to edit out my stuttering there. But no, they will get it. Atlanta Fine Homes needs to be the brokerage representing them. That's it. But edit all that out. All of that, Isaac.
Probably what it's going to take. Put the A team in.
That's exactly it. So what would you say is the best source of business, or how do you best win your business?
I still think the best source is almost what you alluded to before. It's like your sphere of influence. It's people that know that you're a professional and who knows you and you know them. That's always the best source. I see all these different lead gen strategies, and I can appreciate them, and on some level they can work. But the best source of business still is just blowing it out of the water for your clients and them referring you. And that's the way it goes. And so the good strategy and delivering on the strategy and then generating a result is what gets you 5 times the business in the future. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, too, and a question for you is on that fulfilling the strategy, saying what you're going to do, living to what you're going to do, communicating. How often on a listing are you communicating with your clients? Is it once a week, twice a week, once a day, once a month?
So,
I'm sure it's not once a month, but
yeah, I definitely like the idea of, at the beginning of a client meeting, is to ask them the question how often they like to be communicated with, or what their expectation is on that. And then like almost doubling that expectation. So they say, yeah, we'd love like a stats report every other week. I deliver them a stats report every week. And I found that twice as much as they're asking for is typically the magic recipe for really how much you should be doing it.
That's a great formula to go by and to know. Because I take the other approach. I just contact them once a week, whether it's email, text. Well, I'm always texting and calling, but they get an email. But I'd love that, to ask them, okay, well, what do you want? And then to over-deliver on it. So that's great.
Yeah, you got to over-deliver on that part.
I think about the number one complaint. What is it? Is it the NAR? that says this, the number one complaint people have about the real estate agents is they don't hear from them.
They don't hear from them.
I mean, that's embarrassing. Just as a real
It's
estate
embarrassing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my intro to the business, is like essentially people frustrated that somebody in the office wasn't communicating with them enough. Mm-hmm. So I've got complete empathy for it, because there's sometimes people just want more than seems reasonable. Mm-hmm. But I think that's why we owe it to our client and ourselves to ask that question up front. And if somebody says, Jerry, I want you to be on the phone with me from 8 till 5 every day, just like breathing.
Then you just don't take the business, right?
Don't take the business, because you know what you're getting yourself into. Mm-hmm. One of the few things we get to choose is our clients. So they're choosing us, but we're choosing them too, and we owe them whatever service they're looking for if we're willing to take the role, take the responsibility.
Exactly, and I think going to that appointment, making sure they understand that if you're not the right fit for them, I'm kind of like, I don't want you to hire me, but I mean, this is an interview two ways, because oftentimes we take the business that we wish we hadn't, had we gone into the interview a little bit with our eyes a little bit more open as to whether do we really want this client or not, because one wrong client can lose 5 good ones for us if we're not careful.
Very true.
What is, and I don't know, this is a little bit of the aha question, but I like to hone in on this because it helps pull it out of you. But is there one thing you knew so much, but is there one thing you wish you knew? Like, all my friends aren't going to hire me. That would be one a lot of people wish they knew. Or that loving to look at houses isn't really a good reason to be a real estate agent. Anyway, now I'm being funny. But what is one thing you wish you knew going into this business that you know now?
Yeah,
that really would have just made you more successful than you already are, or less painful. So,
well, this is going to be a tough one, because I'm going to say I wish I knew, but then also maybe I didn't. And I think this is true with a lot of things once you become successful. But knowing how hard it is, maybe I wish I knew. Like, it's not easy, and like to propel yourself into like a steady stream of business is an extreme amount of dedication up front. I've had people start kind of with the idea that you said, I do love that. Like, I just love real estate, and I love houses. So I think I'm going to be good at real estate sales. Mm-hmm. And it's not true. Like, the amount of time, energy, effort you have to put in is extreme. I think I probably wish I knew that you're constantly dealing with some level of emotion in the transaction. Mm-hmm. It's all of our transactions are very emotional. I think I probably didn't know that up front as much as I do now. And we can really do ourselves a service and our clients a service by knowing that ahead of time. We can be better negotiators by knowing that it's an emotional business too. Mm-hmm. So I wish I knew that ahead of time. I think I could have done more to prepare myself for that. But, there's been a lot of preparation after, and we've worked through it, and it's never perfect. It's never easy, but we challenge ourselves and push hard to go forward. Yeah, I wish I knew some of those things up front. Well, it's more effort than you think it is.
Exactly. It's kind of like you said, you wish, because I think that is the most, when I ask that question, it is the most common answer is I wish I knew how hard it was, or maybe I don't, because I'm with you. That's what I didn't know. But at the same time, I think it's the reason why it's like an addiction in a way. Yeah. I stay in it because I think if I didn't do anything's a challenge. Anything you do is going to be harder than you think it is. But I think this business especially has challenges that just aren't obvious until you're in it. But those same challenges going in this business are exactly what kind of resonate with me as a person. Like, it keeps me from thinking stuff that doesn't matters, or if it kind of keeps your perspective on what matters and what doesn't, because you deal with people and emotions constantly. Sure. I mean, every day, every hour. And what do you do about, because I think about that, and to me, a lot of my solution to that is I do not hide how much I care, or I do my best not to. It's really important for me to just communicate with my clients. Like, look, if nothing else, Jerry cares. And if nothing else, my agenda is not to close the deal, it's to do what's best for you and to communicate to you so you can get those, so we can be on the same page to get those results. Yeah. But where I'm going with that is where, I got so sidetracked, I forgot what I was going to say.
I know, I've got one for you. Okay, let me
go for, because I actually was going somewhere with that and I forgot because I got so into the emotion of this business. So go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so now I've got a better answer for your question too of what you wish you knew. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I even kind of wrote it down. So the answer is, I wish I knew what matters in the business before. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple examples. Like, and this is just near and dear to my heart, so you'll just have to put up with me on my soapbox. Okay. But I think that there's a lot of different real estate brokerage models, for example. And there's a pitch that what matters is like the split you get with your broker, where I would argue that what really matters is like what you get from your broker that affects your bottom line. So I wish I'd known that ahead of time, because that's what makes all the difference. Actually, I wish I knew up front just what matters as far as like, does brand matter? And in what way does it matter? Yes. Does it matter if you have an open house every week or not on listings? Does it matter if you advertise frequently? I wish I had a list up front. I think I could build that list now, but like,
let's do it. You've got 2 lists for you now.
Okay. I know. I owe you a whole nother list.
Right.
The what matters list is a powerful thing, especially if you're just getting into the business, because I see people spend a lot of time on stuff that doesn't matter. So whether you've been in the business for like 1 day or 1,000,000 days, it'd be rough. 1,000 days.
Right.
You're going to get sold something, right? Like, Jerry, I got this sweet new lead gen program for you. Jerry, I got this incredible new whatever it is that they're trying to sell you. And you can spend all your time wondering if that stuff matters. When really, like what you and I established before, was the best thing you can do for lead gen is not worry about lead gen, is worry about lead conversion and like performing for your client. So the old Jay, the newbie Jay, would say, God, does it matter if I have like this really incredible lead gen program? Old Jay now would say, no, don't worry about that so much. Worry about like bring for your clients and doing X, Y, Z. So yeah, there's a whole list of things of the what matters list that I wish I knew before, that you just don't get until you have experience, or you have an experienced person tell you.
So give us the 3 things that matter most.
Okay, I think I'm going to write them down. That'll help me. So I think probably the first thing that matters the most is, I'm just going to call it client service. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing that matters the most. Like, the people that I know that do the best, provide the highest level of service possible to the client. And that means like anything and everything. Like, it goes past the scope of what a real estate agent does or a real estate broker does. And I know that can be a little bit dicey, but I feel like that's what delivers the best results for you long term, and that's what matters most. It sets your reputation up. It gets people to refer you. Like, when your service is through the roof, people love to talk about it. I know they love to talk about you. Like, you got to use Jerry. She goes above and beyond. Short and sweet.
Exactly.
So I think that service is number 1. I'm going to write this down so I can put it in my book later.
Exceed expectations, maybe, is another way to say it.
Yeah, I think setting expectations, clients are exactly right. Like, if this is what you're going to do, like, hey guys, I'm only going to be able to communicate this amount, but my expectation is to get this house sold in 15 days, and you deliver that on all the time because you spend all your time pounding the pavement and getting people over the house. I think that's really huge.
Yeah.
So I think client service is got to be my number 1, or setting expectations. I like that as number 1. I think 2, because I'm biased, is going to be, I'm going to say it's the brokerage you're with, but I'm going to say it's the company you keep, so I don't get too many boos on that.
Of course, a broker owner would say that. No,
yeah, of course,
I actually agree with you wholeheartedly, but in the company you keep is a huge part of it.
Yeah, so if I didn't want to like be too cheesy because I'm a broker owner and say that, like, I do think it's the company you keep. So I think there's not enough credit given in this business to surrounding yourself with highly reputable people. Mm-hmm. There's lots of books and studies that say like your net worth is intricately tied with like your 5 best friends. Like that's pretty well proven. And I think that's heavily, that's completely true in our business. Like, you want to run with people and you want to work with people that have your same values, the same goals and aspirations for reputation and client service. And so like where you work is important. And I know that that's, again, given low value in the business, but I've come to believe that matters more than I ever really thought that it did. So I'm going to say that's number 2. And then I'm going to say number 3, I think this is good, is how you spend your time. So like we can be addicted to doing this business 24/7. I mean, I'm literally holding my phone in my hand all the time, like seeing how many checks.
Yeah.
But it's, it's important to regiment your time in a way that's like on fruitful activities. So picture a day in the life of you or me, right? Like we get up early, we're working hard on a bunch of different things. Most of them are like what's pressing for the day. You've got listings, new listings coming on, closings, marketing, whatever it is. But we already established that like the best place for referral or the best place for new business and leads is through your sphere. But like, am I calling people that I've worked with and helped before? Am I like showing appreciation for those people? Am I building my business by asking for that business from others or whichever it is, and or just providing good client service? Like, am I spending more time on something that doesn't include great client service or building my business? It's so easy to do in this like space. Like, I think we would all admit that we got into real estate on some level so we didn't have to have somebody telling us what to do. And that's great.
Right.
You know, if you don't have anybody telling you what to do and your time is your own all day, every day, I'm prone to like go have a bunch of fun all the time and or like put my head down on the wrong detail. And sometimes you've got to know what matters, and that's your time, and you'll have a finite amount of it, and you've got to divide it on the things or focus it on the things that make a difference to your business.
Yeah. Well, I love what you said, because I think we all as real estate agents have that in common, is we all got into this because we want flexibility, we want to have fun, but at some point you have to have the discipline to do what you need to do, but you also have the discipline to figure out how, maybe discipline's the wrong word, but figure out how to make what you have to do fun, because that's really the only, for me, it's just I make it, whatever it is, I make it a habit. I do it every day. I time block, have certain things I accomplish. But in some place, it's got to be fun. And it goes back into what you're saying, though. It's not just lead generation and what system you use and how much you pay, with certain lead generation a month, but it's how are you delivering that value? Because delivering value and giving people things and helping people, that is actually fun. And when you're doing that, then all of a sudden, okay, now people actually want to work with me, as opposed to I just stalked 50 people and got 50 phone numbers off of some system, or 60 phone numbers have expired, and so did 5,000 other people who were calling those people in the same hour at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. That's not fun, and it actually is really harder than delivering value. And it's, for me anyway, I mean, I think there are those people who are good at it, but for most of us, it's not going to generate the results we're looking for anyway.
That's exactly right. And I mean, we could go off on a whole sidebar on this, but I mean, there is so many new technology players coming into our business, and Wall Street in general, if you want to think of it like Brad Inman does, that like Wall Street's into our business now. Right. And they're spending gobs of money and time and energy like cold calling and lead gen and doing all these things that I'm not saying don't do them. And I value doing it too, but the competition there is harder and harder. But like what you and I can deliver and what people listening on anything can deliver, and I know can deliver, is like this client service that makes a difference. And none of those services that
they're not helping anybody. Yeah. Yeah.
They don't do those things. So you still stand to have the biggest advantage over $1 billion budget that Zillow does. I mean, I think that's a really big deal. You have the ability to change that with no money, right?
Well, and what's interesting, well, Zillow, people are getting much more attuned. People are buying leads on Zillow to get the call to appear to be the listing agent, which lacks such integrity. I mean, I should be careful what I say. Isaac, maybe you need to edit again.
Isaac's got the edit button.
Maybe don't edit. I don't know. I kind of like that. No, but my point is, you're getting the business, and Zillow. So I don't pay Zillow for leads. I pay them to do another marketing approach for my listings. Right. But they give me leads anyway. And I feel an obligation to call these people, even though I don't even want the lead. And I even said, guys, don't give me your leads. I don't want them. But then I'm getting them anyway, and I don't want to not call them back because it's my reputation at stake. So I call them back. I explain to them I'm not the listing agent. I mean, it's terrible because I don't want to come in. I don't want to start a relationship by tricking you into thinking I'm the agent. Now we get so far down the road that now you've just got to work with me. Where's the value in that? I could have just gone and made a friend and gotten a referral and all of that time. But the other thing is, I feel like now I have a lot of friends that would disagree with us. Like they just like, no, you're wrong. There's a way to do it. You just don't know how. And you're probably right. But in my business model, there's just a lot more fun ways to get business than that. And then I feel like I'm like the data center for Zillow. Like leads are coming in and I got to hire people to take the Zillow calls to keep my reputation. It's not even about that lead, because there's no relationship there. I mean, you get it. You get it because they may be coming from a market I'm not in and I don't know, and I've got no value. I've got nothing to offer you there except there's nothing to be said for my reputation except damage that might be done to it. Maybe that was way too much of a tangent. So,
I love it. Good tangent.
So we're going to wrap this up because we've been talking for a while, and I know you've got to get back to work and selling houses.
Podcast. What are we talking about? Shutting it down.
3 hours. This is like a movie. I mean, it is on video, so it's like a movie. Like we're shooting a film. I mean, come on, it's got to be at least 2.
I thought there would be fire coming in from
under
the back.
20 minutes, right? Now that's later. That's the special effects we'll throw in after. What do you think is the most effective tool that agents use? Clearly, it's there's something to be said for maybe a CRM to manage your contacts, or what is it for you?
Most effective tool.
Mm-hmm. Whether that's you can't say your phone because that is the most effective tool. So after your phone,
I will not say the phone.
Okay.
But okay, let me ask for clarification. Moderator.
Yes, that was a little broad. Mm-hmm.
Can it be effective in anything, or just effective to like generate your business,
to anything in business, whether it's delivering business, generating leads, customer service, creating marketing. Even if it's like a magazine, for example. I mean, I don't think we have something like that. A CRM that you prefer.
So I'd like to say that it's a CRM because I think that would be a safe answer, but candidly, I'm still new to really like leveraging every bit of a CRM. I know that it's effective, but I still think, I'm going to say it this way. I think most effective tool still is generating quality media for a property. So like photos and video, virtuals, whatever it is, I still think that's the most effective tool because it has the ability to help you in a lot of ways, right? Like get more business. People want to know that you're going to market the way you did over there on Peachtree, Dunwoody. And then they want to know that, that you're going to use that cool drone that you did before. And then I think that helps sell the house too, because people are drawn to that sort of
they can see, media. And then they can see what it is.
They can see what it is.
Yeah.
So I think it's like quality media. If I was like to water it all down to like most effective tool, and it's always changing like what the media of the day is, but I think it's like trailblazing media. We're going to call it that. Like as long as you're on cutting edge on the media game, I think that's the most effective tool. Wins more business, shorter days on market, gets you more listings. That's got to be it.
Awesome. I like that, and it's so true. And a lot of people aren't tapping into that. Lucky for us.
Yeah, I mean, I see all your traffic on like Instagram, Facebook, and all that. You've got stellar video on your properties. Like, it makes a difference. Like, I feel like I know what you're selling, like what your quality standard is. Mm-hmm. And like people who are selling their house want to know that their broker or their agent has a high quality standard. So, yeah, yours makes a difference for sure.
You get great traffic. Same for you, but thank you. And one book, or I might let you name 2 because everybody always wants to give me like 5. But what is the best book you would recommend to read to impact? This one can even be like state of mind, just to be a better person, because it all wraps back into our business.
Yeah, so I'm not going to ever give you 5 because I'm a poor reader. So like I have to reread and reread to make sense of all.
What's the one you reread? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll go with, and I'm sorry if this is too cliche, but I'd stick with Jim Collins' Good to Great still is like the book I read every year. It's got insanely good wisdom in it for how business works, whether you're doing it for yourself as an individual or you've got a big company to run. I just love that book. So, it's like very practical.
Now, I don't usually ask this, but that book has got so much in it. I've read that one. That one's one you have to kind of read over and over because it has so much. Is there one big takeaway you had from that when you read it? I just love to know what it is because there's so much in it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, there's tons of great takeaways. The one I think I like the most. And yeah, I think this is Jim Collins has great books. And I think this is in Good to Great. The idea of thinking about the momentum that business takes. I think he describes it as a big stone.
The hedgehog concept. I think was what it was.
You got to get that. Yeah, it takes a lot of work up front, and it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy. If you can keep pushing, and you don't have to push as hard in the future, but like that really has application to our business. I see a lot of people like sweating it out, doing the hard work, finally get some business going, like momentum, and then they'll like let off. Like I need a break. I'm gonna go to Cabo for. and like they let it all go. It's like, no, like the benefit is you've got it spinning, just like keep a little bit going.
Keep it, yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
keep a little bit going. And whether that's like you're promoting a sale that you had, like I'm always surprised when people don't promote their sales more often. Like you should be proud of every baby that you've got, and selling a really unique property or any property, everybody should know. But again, like I see people just fall off and say, yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. Like I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like, stay the course, keep firing away. But I feel like in that book, it's so good.
That's great. That's the best. It reminds me of my grandmother when I got into this business. And I mean, I hit it big pretty fast in hindsight. But at the time, it's like, she's like, honey, you just keep doing what you're doing. Because she had been a real estate agent in her past. And she was so right. And I was like, all right, since you said so, all right. And in hindsight, it wasn't even that much. You just got to keep your momentum and keep doing it. And the next thing,
That's right.
And I think it's at any level, like we get to, a level of comfort where you're doing good business. And if you want to take it to the next level, you've got to get in that mode where you're doing what it takes to keep doing to get it to the next level. So awesome.
Well, my grandmother is 92 and she's in this office today. She's like practically catty corner.
Oh, really?
Right now.
Oh, how awesome. See, I knew it. Oh, that's awesome.
And she would say the same thing. It's like, you got to keep working.
Yeah.
And don't let off the gas. And she's been proving that for quite a long time.
Oh, now, was she in real estate?
Yes, she pretty much started this whole firm.
Okay.
It started as a commercial. I could have gone in depth with the old history, but
yeah, we should have let you. Okay. Yeah.
She started, my uncle and grandfather started the company as like a commercial brokerage and development company. And she essentially sold like happenstance some residential properties to friends. And she did such a great job at it that really the company started to grow and evolve to be around her style of business. And we don't trade a whole lot of commercial anymore or anything else. Like we go with her style of business, which is relationship driven, hard work, the whole bit. Super good.
Well, tell her I said hi. I hope I get to meet her one day.
I will. Yeah. We'll put her on a podcast.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
So let us know how to reach you. If we've got any of our listeners have referrals or business in Austin or San Antonio, Texas.
Sure. So like phone number, email,
just give us your website and email or phone number, whatever's best.
Website's easy. It's my name is J, just a letter. Last name is KUPER.com. So jkuper.com. You'll get it all.
Awesome. Great. Perfect. Yeah. Jay, thank you for being with us today. This was awesome.
You got it. Love talking to you.
All right. Talk to you soon.